Welcome back to part 2 of this 4-part series on things I would like to see from Civ 7 or the next installment of the Civilization series. The previous video in this series covered the first 5 things I would like to see, so if you didn't see that, want to get a little bit caught up to speed, go check that one out first, because then this one picks up kind of where that one left off. So let's get into it. Number 6, Industrial Zone Specialization. Okay, this one's a bit long, but hear me out. For Civ 6, the final building upgrade was just different power plants. Power plants providing power is a resource, just treated a little different, and shouldn't really provide any production bonuses. But that should come from powered factories. More on that in a bit. Include a variety of special industries for the final building. Have other buildings besides power plants that produce new resources to the kind of special industry that city is. Maybe a city would benefit from building a mining operations where it would give +1 production to mines and +1 to all mined resources in the city. Or maybe build a lumber mill to process wood and increase the production of forest-like tiles, which means you would need lumber or logging camps for the tile improvement. Textile, steel mill, clothing manufacturing, semiconductor manufacturing, auto factory, pharmaceuticals, fertilizers, refinery. The refinery would require oil and would produce fuel. There's a lot of different industries, a lot of different ways you can go with this. Basically, production recipes. If you have the inputs, then you can make a specific factory for the outputs. After workshop, as the first building, have the Ag Center building to increase food production. And then if the city still has the Ag Center, it would unlock a third building to increase food yields even more, like commercial farm equipment. Throughout the various changes I've mentioned, I'd like to see the ability to farm multiple tiles with one population once commercial farm equipment is built, maybe like 3 or 4, allowing a food producing city to specialize in that way for other cities in my Civ. Just like over here, got a lot of farms over here between Nuremberg and Munster. Maybe see an urbanization period where the population from agriculture producing cities migrate to the industrial producing cities. Would be an interesting concept. Would like to remove the district adjacency bonus system and instead a city bonus. This would also help with the AI, because they optimized horribly in Civ 6. Industrial zone production equal to the number of worked improved tiles by this city. Workshop +1 food to farms and camps. Gold to plantations, and production to lumber mills, pastures, mines, quarries, and wells. In-city access to ox +1 production to improved tiles. In-city access to horses +1 gold to improve tiles. Factory or Ag Center. Unpowered factory, a +3 production. Powered factory, +13 production. Vehicles resource access, +3 production and +3 gold to each lumber mill, mine, quarry, and well. Replaces ox and horses workshop bonus. Unpowered Ag Center, +1 food to farms, camps, and pastures. Gold to plantations. Powered Ag Center, +3 food to farms, camps, and pastures. Gold to plantations. Final building upgrade. If factory is present, various specialty industry buildings for different resources requires power. Power plants also in that final building slot. If Ag Center is present, commercial farm equipment requires vehicles resource. +3 food, +2 gold to farms and pastures, replaces ox and horses workshop bonus. Now let me wrap up these 2 sections by saying I'd like to see producing things in the city go to a resource required, then time to complete. If you have the wood, then you can build the spearman in 6 turns, or 3 turns if you have an additional civilian help. You can assign multiple civilians to help build something, but they stop working on their tile. It just doesn't make sense to me why a city is unproductive, even though it has a high population. There needs to be better balance for production for those cities that have it and those that don't. Also would like to see multiple production queues. Encampment district makes ground military. Harbor makes naval military. City center makes districts, buildings, wonders, etc. You know, the things that expand a city, like city planning and engineering. High level wrap up would like the building upgrade path for industrial zones to be more flexible to the industry of the city. If the city would be great at producing food, then specialize in that area. Even recently been thinking that the workshop building should be a city center building and the industrial zone should be dedicated to the specialization of that city. Maybe no building upgrade path, but different buildings you can build in the industrial zone, up to 3 buildings. This would be interesting to see just how city industries change over time, especially once you get to the refrigeration tech. More on that later. Number 7, selling buildings and districts. Believe this was in Civ 5 or Civ 6 vanilla, but this was exploited before losing a city in combat, as you could sell basically everything and the Civ conquering a city would get a barren wasteland, but have a cooldown every 3 turns in a city. Sometimes you want to relocate a district or take a different building path. I've built coal power plants and then later wanted to adjust where my power plants are and build nuclear power plants. One of my favorite mods in Civ 6 allows me to get rid of a district. Just a shame I had to get rid of the whole thing, even I just want to get rid of a building. Like getting rid of power plants that are overlapping. That would actually be kind of nice. Number 8, trader changes. No more per turn yields. Instead, get the entirety of the trade value upon return in a lump sum. Previous way to generate trade yields was about per turn maxes. Not to say it still wouldn't be a factor, but needing to factor in risk of losing trader units during travel should be a factor. Is it practical to send your traders halfway around the world? Not really, especially if you're going through hostile territory, but would depend on the value of the trade or resources. For example, I have traders that are going through this Scotland territory that I'm currently at war with. I've recently started sending a lot more down here and going across to Samaria. So that has been my main source of trading now recently. I've been doing this for a while, so that has been helpful to be doing that. I've been trying to get my traders to not go through Scotland's territory, but fortunately enough for me, Scotland really hasn't been destroying my traders. No more 1 tile per turn movement. Move like normal units. Base of 2 and after combustion, maybe 3 or 4. Faster road, move farther. Improved tech for sea movement, move farther. This would give bridges and canals a much greater purpose, as the movement from sea to land or vice versa should require the entire movement of the unit for that turn. Speaking of canals, each canal and harbor used, the trade owner pays fees for usage to the canal or harbor owner. Harbors start at 1 gold and goes up over time. Canal fees can be set by the owner of the canal. Maybe also set the fees for harbor. Depends on if this gets too hard to manage. If you have a very strategic canal, charge more fees. Don't know why in Civ 6 trade routes generate more gold for going through canals, but it should make trade routes faster, as this was the reason for the Suez and Panama canals existing. This would allow for interesting decision making. A trade that would provide you 10 food upon return, that is 20 turns, versus a trade that is 8 food over 18 turns, or what about 7 food for 17 turns, but they are much safer routes. Also would like a little bit of control on trade route paths. Don't want my traders going through dangerous territory. Sometimes the safer way is better in order to get the trade completed. Increase the number of traders. Trader per market and lighthouse buildings, maybe, or no cap, or diminishing returns for duplicate trades. Trading with civs that have technologies and civics that you do not gives you a boost on those locked achievements upon trader returning. This keeps things in balance and prevents a runaway. And this happened as traders returned to their homeland. They would bring back new tech and ideas, possibly even go both ways. Diplomatic trade screen for resources should be about negotiating access to resources. I'll give you access to horses for 10 gold for any active trades. Same thing goes for any resource, economic, strategic, luxury, or a screen that you can set the gold per turn for any resource to be extracted to any civ. This would be like a tariff screen. So for example, if I needed pearls, I'd put pearls here, and I would say, hey, I'll give you that for, you know, maybe 100 gold for any active trades, or any trades that I come and I pick up pearls and bring them back. But this wouldn't be like a per turn trade. Like I just want access to pearls to trade for pearls, and then be like, okay, 100 gold for every active trade. I send a trade route. It takes the gold. When it gets their city, it exchanges my gold for their pearls, and then it brings back my pearls. Also would like to see any food production, gold culture, etc. be reduced in the trading city to signify resource loss or resource exchange. So this would most likely mean trade routes wouldn't return gold, and gold would be used for buying resources. Alrighty, that'll wrap up part 2 of this 4-part series. As always, if you have any comments on anything that I talked about or any ideas that you have, feel free to put them down below, and I'll continue on with part 3 in the next video. Alrighty, take care.